What's up guys, Andrew Baena here, and today's video is sponsored by Neural DSP. On today's video, we are going to be taking a look at their brand new plugin, which is called the Archetype Nolly. I'm going to show you guys how it sounds in a full mix, and then we'll go over how I got all the tones after that. Stay tuned for all the tech specs, but for now, here's how this plugin sounds. Alright, so now that I've shown you what this plugin can sound like in a full mix, I'm going to go over a little bit of the details of how I got the three tones that I was using in this video. So first and foremost, I of course have a djenty rhythm tone. I said the D word. So basically what I did for this is I was running the overdrive 1 pedal in the pedal section. So as you can see here, there's multiple different pedals. There's two different overdrives, a pre-delay, and a compressor. For this tone, I was only using the overdrive. The drive was maybe like 40% up, tone was full, and level was full. I had the other three pedals turned off. I also have it running in mono with high oversampling because I thought it sounded best. Next up, moving over to the amp section, I was using the rhythm amp. I had the gain fairly low at around 2.5, the lows or the bass a little bit higher at 5.5 or 6, mids at 6, highs at 4.5. Master was in the middle, level was in the middle, resonance was at 4, and presence was at about 5.5. That's pretty much it in terms of the amp settings. Once again, I was using the high oversampling and the mono because I've already double tracked the rhythm guitars anyway, so there's no need to make it stereo. I also had the gate up to -40 because I found that that sounded the best for this rhythm tone. Next up, moving over to the EQ section, I didn't do too much here. I brought down the 65 Hertz frequency range a little bit by -2, bumped up the 500 Hertz range because that's of course your mid-range by just a little bit, 2 kilohertz a little bit of bump, and everything else I left completely alone. Moving over to the speaker cabinet section, I was using the second cab option, and I had two dynamic 57 mics, which are of course, you know, SM57 approximately. So I was miking with the same mic in same exact settings on both sides of the cabinet. And then finally, there are of course a delay and reverb pedal at the end of this signal chain, but I didn't have them on because of course it's a rhythm tone and I don't need delay or reverb when I'm trying to have a crunchy, djenty rhythm tone. Next up on my ambient and clean tone, which I called Baena Ambident, because why not? I had the compressor on with the compression at about noon, level just under noon. I had the attack switched to smooth instead of snappy. The other three pedals are completely off. I didn't really want overdrive because I wanted it to be mostly clean with just a little bit of breakup. Hence, going over to the second amp section, I was using the clean amp, which is the first amp, and I was using the same cab as the rhythm tone because I found this cab to kind of sound the best. So in this one, I had the gain at about half, bass at about 4, again, middle about 6, treble about 6, master a little bit higher, level a little bit lower. So pretty similar tone settings on this amp, but of course it was clean instead of distorted. Next up on the equalizer, I did a little bit more. Once again, I took the 65 Hz completely away. I left 125 and 250 Hz alone. I actually cut at 500 Hz, which let more frequency range shine through with the rhythm genty tone, so that this one was kind of dipping a little bit under that in this section. And then I boosted the 1 kHz and 2 kHz and 4 kHz by a little bit to again kind of make it shine above the rhythm tone. And then I left 8 kHz and 16 kHz alone. Next up, moving on to the speaker settings. This time I only used one dynamic 57 mic, pretty much the same exact settings as the rhythm tone once again. I just chose to use one in this case because I thought it sounded a little bit better. And then last but not least, in this case, I did have both the delay and the reverb pedal on. So the delay pedal has a ton of settings, which you can see here. The main important thing is that I had the mix about 40% so that I still let a lot of the original DI signal through, so it wasn't just drowning in delay. And then the reverb was about 50% once again, so I wasn't just completely drowning it in reverb, and the original attack notes were still audible. Alright, and last but not least, I of course have my lead tone, conveniently named Baena lead because I'm very creative. So again, in the first pedal section, this time I had the compressor on, same settings as the clean tone, compression at half, level at half, switch to smooth. This time I was also using the overdrive pedal, just a little bit of extra gain, maybe like at 2, treble was at like 4, bass was at 4, volume was at middle. And then moving over to the amp section, in this case, I was using the lead amp. Once again, I was using the same cab. In this case, I have a ton more gain. This is probably at like a 7 or a 9. Bass was way down, treble and middle were a lot higher, and then master and level are at noon. Once again, this obviously I don't really need bass in my lead tone since that's supposed to be soaring above all the other guitars and bass, so just get rid of a lot of that bass. And then moving on to the equalizer, you can see that again, as usual, I got rid of 65 Hz completely. Again, a little dip at 250 and 500 Hz to get it out of the rhythm guitar's frequency range. Little boost at 1 and 2 kHz, and then a cut at 4 kHz because it kind of had this overtone of high-pitched sound that I didn't really like. And then 8 kHz boosted again, once again, just trying to make it sit above everything else. And then moving on to the cabinet settings, this time, once again, same thing, just a dynamic 57 on 1 speaker cone. Pretty standard settings, I don't think I changed too much here. And then last but not least, once again, I have the delay and the reverb pedal on. Pretty much the same settings as the clean tone in this instance. Again, the mix is at about 40% for the delay, and this time it's a little bit lower at like 35% for the reverb. And that's pretty much it for all the tones that I used in this video. Of course, you can get crazy with this plugin and pretty much make any tone you can think of in terms of all the settings that are available. There are tons of other options which I didn't even get into yet. So many different, speaker cabinets. There's all these different options with the amps. There's pretty much a lot you can do with this and a lot more that I wasn't able to show in this video. So if you want to try it for yourself, definitely go check out Neural DSP's website and give it a try for yourself. There is a free trial. No harm in giving it a try, seeing how it sounds with your guitar and your setup. Hopefully you guys found this video informative and helpful. If you enjoyed it, let me know by leaving a comment below. Once again, big thank you to Neural DSP for sponsoring this video. That's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.